at that time, holds this press conference and comes out, brings out a guy with an alien mask on, and asks the local law enforcement guys to arrest him, and put the cuffs on him, that kind of thing. That was kind of like, a joke, kind of try to diffuse, the tension that was going on at that time, because literally hundreds of thousands of people saw this massive couple mile wide UFO hovering over Phoenix back at that time. Well, guess what happened at the Con Edison event when their governor, Andrew Cuomo, comes out holding an alien mask at the press conference, and makes fun of the idea that some people thought it was like an alien invasion or something to do with aliens. Now, here's the deal: whenever you're trying to keep a lid on things, if you're a centralized government like what we have, you obviously have the only control mechanism in every state is through the governor's office. And I would imagine some pressure came down real quick on Governor Cuomo to get out there and make some kind of a, light, statement about it wasn't aliens or, that kind of thing. So that was an interesting correlation. I just mentioned that because, that's one of the knee-jerk reactions that you would definitely do if you're trying to keep control of things, is get the governor out there making fun of these things. And that just goes to show you maybe there's some very similar things going on there.
Yeah, well, very interesting.
What bothered me about the whole thing was, after we talked about it last week, I was looking through the videos again, and there actually is one at the ground level, and it is literally 20 feet from the transformer.
Oh.
What?
How do you get a video of it exploding, and there are electricity arcs going in every single direction? How do you get that video to keep playing while these electrical arcs are going straight at the camera? Like, talk about being able to CGI a video. That was a good job.
Well, yeah, they've got to, cover it all up.
Yeah, because there's no video equipment that could actually withstand that big of a hit, that big of an electrical surge,
right?
To keep playing through it.
Oh, very, very good point, Cole. Yeah. Matter of fact, it just goes to show you that if indeed the powers that be on the East Coast, New York City, don't have control of what's going on, this is just a really great example of, things happening, and then the local government has to spin it, has to spin the tail, and keep the pressure on, and make sure that the pressure doesn't explode, in the public. They make fun of it, whatever they can, but it just goes to show you that no, I don't think we are in charge. I think these things happen all the time, and basically the aftermath is trying to be covered up.
Now, I've got a question. Wasn't it true that the governor of Arizona actually came out before when that first hit, if I remember right? Now, bear in mind, I wasn't here when that happened. I was actually in Germany, and I actually saw it, on CNN, sitting in a clinic on the Army base I was on. And
wow.
As I recall, it actually hit CNN. I was surprised. But didn't that governor come out and say it might be extraterrestrial before he showed up with an alien mask?
Go ahead.
So, okay, I was going to say I wasn't down there for the original Phoenix Lights, and I was down there up until 2006. I kid you not, about 6 months after I left and came back home to Washington, there was a third sighting in 2007 of the same Phoenix Lights. And Vice Symington was no longer governor, and he came out and said, I should have been honest. And
Right.
this is something that was unexplained, and the hoax was bad on his part, but he felt pressured from higher ups to ease the public, get rid of the public concern over aliens, because it was something that they couldn't handle at the time. So as far as coming out before he did his little hoaxy prank, which was not well received at all, I can't verify that, but I do know that back in 2007, 10 years after the original Phoenix Lights, he did come out. He was no longer governor, and he basically said, look, obviously it's happening again. Yes, it's not military flares.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I thought I heard something about that. That one of them had recanted, and he'd actually, under pressure, made fun of it. Which, you know what? Even today, I don't think the average American could handle the truth. We've had that talk before.
Yeah.
On the show. They some of us keep pushing for disclosure, but I don't think society's ready for disclosure.
Well, that's a question in itself for sure. But if you have some time here, I want to give you the real backstory of Fife Symington and the Phoenix Lights, because I think it would be very interesting for the public, at least our listenership tonight, to hear this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys know the real story of this. When it first happened, the phone bank at the National UFO Reporting Center lit up like you wouldn't believe. Peter Davenport was receiving all of these reports from people in Phoenix, seeing these things, and some of them live on the line, sending in their reports that they're seeing it while they're talking with Peter and leaving their messages on the report form. Now, it was many months later that Peter finally got the mainstream media involved in reporting on this story. So it was a big lag between the time it actually happened and finally USA Today came out with the very first breaking story that broke the thing wide open. But here is the fascinating backstory that you're not going to believe about this whole idea of the cover-up. Most people don't understand that Fife Symington, at this very exact time, was under federal indictment for his kind of involvement in a protest against the federal government, basically shutting down the Grand Canyon tourism that they had there in Arizona. What they're doing is they were trying to cut down on the amount of tours that were going down into the canyon. Some people say because they didn't want people getting close to the truth down there in Grand Canyon, of course, of all these ancient civilizations that potentially, have artifacts down there. I don't know if you've heard those rumors or not, but I have for years. The fact that there were ancient Egyptian tombs and artifacts exhumed down there in the Grand Canyon for probably over 100 years. Basically, the Smithsonian Institute has come through and taken all these artifacts away, but there's still some amazing things down there they don't want the public to see. So Fife Symington had actually taken up that public outcry to not shut down the tourism at the Grand Canyon. So, of course, what they did is the federal government put him under indictment and trumped up some charges against him and his government, state government down there, for basically some kind of a bike path problem that they had along federal land there next to the Grand Canyon. So he was in court and being tried for perjury at that time, I believe it was. And when the Phoenix Lights thing happened, the trial was almost going to happen. He was basically toast, and they were going to take him out from his governorship. When the Phoenix Lights hit, all of a sudden the trial, supposedly, this is the story, took a recess. The judge called all the counsel plus Fife Symington into his chambers there, and what happened was Fife Symington immediately came out of that meeting and went to this press conference that same day and did the alien, made fun of the alien kind of a deal. And guess what happened to his perjury trial that same day? It was dropped.
Surprise!
Yeah,
of course it was.
And so that you're talking the pressure there that Fife Symington was under to do whatever he was told to do because of this massive, weird situation that was going on right in front of thousands and thousands of people's very own eyes on that night that the Phoenix Lights were sighted coming up over Camelback Mountain and the entire valley of Phoenix there. So I thought that would be interesting for some of the folks to know about these backstories. Now, who knows what was going on with Governor Cuomo in New York to force him to bring out an alien mask, to the press conference about the whole idea of this Con Edison explosion. So you just got to keep a little discerning mind open there when you're seeing these things.
Right. Completely agree. And what's going on with my computer? There we go. Great backstory, though. And I find it funny. I think what piques my interest the most is that there's a difference, from 97. I wonder if it's going to happen. Well, it didn't happen in 2017. But I wonder if it's going to happen again in 2027, if there's a 10-year window.
Oh, very interesting.
Or if you even looked at 2017 reports, and you might find something that smaller scale that happened, but was still, wasn't really covered so much.
Right. There's a research project for you.
I've got too many of them. Oh.
We all just got given a bunch of homework with tonight, so I'm good.
All right, so moving on to training, we are going to get a lot more into the technology side of the paranormal. We've got a lot of projects that we'll be working on. FLIR camera, well, we'll get to that section here shortly. But, I want to talk about validating whether Bigfoot or off-worlders can communicate with spirit boxes. I've actually heard off-world come through the executioner's box. And that was through a woman named Lorelei. She was doing live spirit box sessions on Facebook. And it's interesting because I heard a voice come through her spirit box, and it said, "We are above." Well, it didn't sound like a spirit, and so I sent her a message and said, "Yeah, that was an alien." And she freaked out, and she sent me a message, and she had a backstory with that, which we won't get into. But, yeah, there was indeed off-worlders that came through a spirit box on that one. And then, of course, we know about Bill Hauser and, the Bigfoot they caught. I want to go in the mountains with a real valid spirit box and see what we can catch. Not just Bigfoot and off-world, but I'd be curious what you catch in the mountains, period. In the FMP library, again, I have books in there from the 1800s of loggers and lumberjacks that actually talk about some of the things they encountered in the 1800s in the woods. Haven't had a chance to read them yet.
Can I ask what Bill Hauser caught on Bigfoot?
Say again?
What did Bill Hauser catch?
I haven't heard that. It was on Spaced Out Radio. I haven't heard that episode yet. I'll have to look for it. But apparently they caught Bigfoot talking to them on a spirit box.
I brought it up in the meeting tonight, Cole, because I have a spirit box.
But in English?
I was told, that was my first question. Yes, it was in English, but there was also growls and grunting that came through the spirit box. So I'm wondering now, since I have a spirit box, what kind of spirit box should be required for this?
We need to talk to Bill Hauser because he actually builds spirit boxes. I'm not talking about the SB7 or the little smaller ones you can buy. I'm talking about a real spirit box.
The type with a portal feature.
Exactly. And Bill Hauser builds them. he can make one for us.